So with my, now I'm going to transition here, and I think I have about 15 minutes. Okay, perfect. Let's talk about West Marine and where we're at in this, because we are a mature retailer. We passed up that, we did this about a decade ago, and now we're trying to figure it out. So I heard we have some customers here. Who has heard of West Marine? Who has heard of REI? All right, if I were to ask you this question, I don't know, 20 years ago, I probably would have got the same amount of hands as I did on West Marine. We have, our CEO is from REI, worked there for a long time. My boss is from REI. He designed REI stores. Now he does it for West Marine and also heads up store development and real estate. We have hired a merchandiser that was with REI. We have some other folks from REI that came to our business. We are transitioning into REI, but for Waterlife, for boating. We're not going to turn our back on core boating customers, though. History of the business. It started in a guy's garage. How great is that? 47 years ago. And Randy Repass, who is still involved with the company today, was chairman of the board up until last year, but we see him around. He sails around the world. He opened up a store for rope in his garage in Palo Alto, California, and that's his garage here. And he had his rope. He opens up his first store in Palo Alto, California in 1975, does very limited growth on the West Coast of the United States for the next decade, really. And by the early 80s, West Marine only had 13 stores. However, it was through acquisitions that they continued to grow in addition to the organic growth. So we acquired a company that had a big East Coast presence, E&B Marine, that gave us 152 stores. And that was a different customer. The West Coast sailor is not the same customer that you have in different markets. So I use Esri Business Analyst, certainly to help support forecasting, decision making. I mean, you're very familiar with GIS in this room, so there's 1,600 data variables I'm looking at. It's actually more than that now. It includes demographics. I talked about lifestyle segmentation, consumer spending, market potential. You got to look at where shopping centers are, competition. For us, it's more localized competition or intertype competitors like the Bass Pros and the Dick's Sporting Goods of the world. And then customer profiling. So to get customers to shop these types of products, they got to know we exist and where we are. And to do so, we have 3 different types of customers that are part of our marketing strategy, and we call them admirals, captains, and adventurers. And adventurers are younger customers. They don't own a boat, but they may participate in water sports. Captains are younger boaters, and then admirals are older boaters that are not customers today. And so with each store, certainly I'm plotting customers, I'm doing trade areas, I'm doing a lot of analysis. But what does all of this mean? What does it tell you? Where are we trying to go? So I'm focused on this lifestyle segmentation. We have a leading segment. Now, for those of you familiar with Tapestry, you'll know that there's 66 different lifestyle segments. And our leader, and by far our leader, and I'm talking more than 12% of all of our customers fall within one of 66 segments. That is lack of relevancy to a broader population, evident by the lack of hands going up in this room. That customer is a great customer. They look like this. I won't tell you what the name of the segment is, but the point is that they're older, they're affluent, they like a coastal lifestyle, okay? And they own boats. So I track store sales by lifestyle, by every single lifestyle, from distance of the store. And certainly you're going to have a distance decay, whereas as you move further away from the store, your sales, your influence of that store is going to drop, so your sales are going to drop. And I look at that for every single lifestyle segment. I then break that out into all of our different merchandise departments, core department, Waterlife department. And I rolled them up for this example, but what this is showing is that the core line starts below the total store and then eventually goes above the total store. That means that distance is not as important to people that are buying core products. Why is it not important? Because you can't get that product everywhere. It is not ubiquitous. We are a specialty retailer, and people will drive the distance to get the product they need. That, or they're keeping their boat at a marina that is somewhere they don't live, and they're shopping a store. Subsequently, they live further away from where that boat is. Waterlife, however, has a much steeper decline in distance decay. And that means that when you build a store with a lot of Waterlife, you're not going to have a trade area as big for those particular products, because now we are talking about lifestyle products that you can find at Dick's Sporting Goods, or you can find at REI or the mall or Bass Pro. Now we have a lot of growth segments too that we want to be our customer. And the big thing you can see here is that it's more families, it's younger, but the key is it's people that enjoy recreating on or around the water. And it doesn't have to be an ocean, you know? It could be a lake, but they're out on the water. So now this black line is the same black line as before. That's our leading segment for the store. The growth segments, the ones that have converted into customers, have a much steeper distance decay decline, meaning that for new segments of population, they're not going to drive as far as our existing stores. So we better darn well be location convenient as we try to grow our brand. And so and I'll conclude with this slide, as I go about my analytics and trying to optimize markets with stores, I look at sub-geographies. So each one of these triangles I treat as a seed point, and it corresponds to the centroid of a zip code polygon. And then I do analysis around it to capture sales and market potential, and I apply distance decay curves. And so then that allows me to build optimal model scenarios to build the right size store, because we still have small stores, we still have large stores. In this day, we don't have just one format of store. And that goes back to the real estate maturity. There's some markets we can build Chicago, a large flagship. Others, maybe we can build a really good 4,000 square foot boating parts store. Dana Point, California is an example where we have a fantastic small boating parts store. And I wouldn't be able to do this certainly with GIS. GIS takes a lot of the gut feel out of it, and it helps me and my company make better decisions. So with that, I'll wrap up, and I thank you very much.